Today in high school, drug use is very common.
Due to the increased drug use, there has been an increase in high school dropouts, family issues, suicide, academic probations, and much more.
Our project is over how drugs have affected high school students across the DFW area in their social, academic, and family lives.
The younger a person is when they begin using drugs, the more likely they are to develop a substance abuse problem, and the more likely they are to have a relapse when trying to quit drugs.
They've affected my life in lots of different ways, but the biggest would probably be the relationship with me and my family.
Do you want to elaborate on that? Only if you're comfortable.
So I started doing drugs in 9th or 10th grade. I started smoking pot. I remember this specifically because I did it on Super Bowl Sunday. I was with my friend Will, and he brought weed to the party, and we decided to go smoke out back in the garage. And it was very interesting, but after that, I continued to smoke, started smoking on my own, started getting more into different kinds of drugs. Eventually, it ended up getting me kicked out of my school, and I was expelled, and that in turn made my parents find out, and so they inevitably ended up sending me off to wilderness and boarding school.
Do you want to explain what wilderness is?
So wilderness is kind of like a therapeutical process. Basically, you get sent off and you go live in the woods and do therapy. It's like nature therapy in a way, but it basically consists of living in the woods, hiking, and doing therapy. I lived in the woods for 82 days straight, doing the same thing week after week. And then after that, I got sent to boarding school, which was also a therapeutical boarding school because my parents wanted to, quote unquote, fix me or help me get better, which didn't make me happy. I was very pissed about the situation. But it turned my relationship with my family kind of upside down on its head. We started fighting a lot more. My dad got more physical with me to an extent where we'd be yelling at each other, and he would do something, and then I would lash out because I'm an aggressive person myself, and it kind of just went back and forth.
Some indicators of substance abuse include drastic mood changes, increased argumentiveness, and being secretive or withdrawing from the family. These factors can disrupt normal functioning between you and your team and can lead to increased disagreement or fighting.
Not only do grades suffer due to poor concentration, lack of focus and energy and drive, but students can also lose interest in healthy social and extracurricular activities, which eventually lead to drug and alcohol abuse, and then that can lead to truancy and dropping out of school.
1 in 4 deaths is contributed to illicit drug use. People who live with substance dependence have a higher risk of bad outcomes, including unintentional injuries, accidents, risk of domestic violence, medical problems, and even death.
Not very majorly. All my friends are very lenient on all kinds of topics, including that.
What's your story with drugs?
Never actually gotten in trouble where it's never really affected my life, but I have done small amounts of different substances.
Do you think your social status throughout high school has changed because of drugs?
Essentially, no, due to the fact that all of my friends in different friend groups, either knowing or not knowing, don't view me differently under the course of me doing any different substances.
Around how many people do you think come to you about drugs?
Very few, since I'm not very knowledgeable in the course and I'm not very big into the drug culture.
How'd you get involved with drugs?
I'd say friend groups got me into some, but it was more just curiosity towards the substances.
Were you at a negative, positive time in your life when you used drugs?
Honestly, neither. It was more of a more medial kind of time in my life. It's not. It could be more of a heightened time, but drugs really didn't influence anything to me.
What is the most common drug you use or have done?
Marijuana is not any alcohol.
More deaths, illnesses, and disabilities stem from substance abuse and form from any other preventable health conditions.
If you or anyone you know have experienced a drug problem,
Please don't hesitate to call.
The Drug Abuse Hotline is always open at 1-800-910-3734.
One call can save a life.
Even though these are two completely different stories, these are still two incidents where teens are misusing drugs. So please, don't hesitate to help anyone who comes to you for help. And don't ignore them either. With the help of you, and maybe one phone call to the hotline service, we can get lots of help and squash this problem.